My friend Kyle Brush flew in from South Haven, Michigan yesterday. I picked him up at the airport. We went and did a little bit of skateboarding. Today, Kyle said he wanted to see some alligators. And if you've seen my video clips with Raymond.
So we're currently on our way to a spot where there is said to be a lot of alligators. If we can find one on the road and I'm gonna jump over it, I'll probably like whip it or something like that.
It's gonna eat you alive. If you get in trouble, you're on your own. I'm not going to help you. Raymond, I love you, but I have limits.
I'll zoom in a little bit, but we're gonna try to get a little closer. Hopefully there's one on this side.
He's coming here. That's why he's going in the water. Oh my God, we turned our backs and he went in the water. I'm serious, we need to split. I'm out. You know that I'm absolutely terrified of alligators. So I don't know what it is about all these dudes that come to Florida that they want to force me to go see alligators. I guess you don't have alligators in Michigan.
Nope, not even close.
So I guess this is probably one of the only places where you can come and see them. However, I'm gonna conquer my fear today. We're gonna take an airboat ride and go actually see some alligators face to face. Kyle said he was playing strong earlier, but when we got out of the van,
my stomach's not feeling it right now.
well, when we got out of the van, he says, "Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous." Just so you know, Lake Jessup is the most alligator-infested body of water. I believe it's in the state of Florida. It could be in the country. I don't know. All I know is there's a bunch of alligators here, and hopefully we're gonna see a couple of these bad boys.
Well, we've already seen a few.
So this is Captain Steve.
Hi.
He's our boat captain, and I'm gonna show you this pretty sweet it's an airboat, right?
That's right, yeah.
Now this lake is not very deep, is it?
No, lake's only 6 feet deep on average. It's
okay.
Very shallow.
And he said that he is pretty much guaranteeing that we're gonna see some gnarly alligators today.
Excited and terrified at the same time?
Yes, I'm very terrified. All right, so we just got on the boat. I am totally stressing out. This is how close we are to the water. Look at that. It's like a foot. This water is super funky and full of alligators. And then we've got these headphones. I guess we have to wear these things. It's like we're right there by the engine. I guess this thing's gonna be like super loud.
Hey Dave, you wanna see if the water's cold?
No.
Stick your fingers in there?
No. You can though, and I'll film you stick your fingers in it.
I'm good.
No, oh, okay. Mr. Big Brave Kyle is now chickening out. Oh my God, here we go. I am so freaked out. What do you think?
That was fun. A lot of fun.
That's pretty awesome. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be.
No.
It really wasn't scary at all. Now I kind of feel like a bit of an idiot because there really there really wasn't much to that. It was a ton of fun. We had great fun. The actual boat ride itself was not scary at all. All right, so we are having some alligator. This is Kyle's first taste of alligator.
Just gotta let them know who's on top of the food chain.
That's right, apex predator, baby. What do you think?
Tastes like chicken.
It does taste like chicken. It's a little stringy. There's nothing special to it, really.
No.
And then when you eat enough of it, it does start to develop a little bit of an aftertaste. But really, there's nothing really big about it.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. A lot softer than I thought.
Oh man.
Yeah, Dave.
So I'm facing my fears. I'm holding the alligator here. very docile. It feels kind of like rubber. It's squishy and cold. That's kind of cool.
What was that?
We just finished our airboat ride. It was not nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be.
It wasn't.
I built this thing up in my head, and I was terrified of going on this ride. But there was a bunch of people on the boat, and even with a bunch of people, it didn't sink way down in the water. I don't know. I look at those things, and they look like they're about that high off the water, but it's probably like 2 feet, I'm guessing. Introduce yourself to our audience. Some of the people who follow Wisdom Skateboards probably know a little bit about you, but I'd like to tell your story. I'd like people to have a better understanding of who you are. So introduce yourself, Kyle.
Well, my name's Kyle Brush. I'm from South Haven, Michigan, the proud daddy of 4 kids, and I have a beautiful wife, Molly. Just love my family. I also run Truth Skate Church up there in South Haven, and we do an indoor park when it's snowing and blowing and nasty out, and then a lot of outdoor ministry. And then another facet of that coming up a lot this year is traveling all over and sharing my story at a lot of different destinations. So
right.
Just sharing the gospel and
through what you call unlikely servant, right?
Yep, an unlikely servant.
Tell us how unlikely servant came about.
Yeah, well, earlier you and I were talking about tile work. Well, sometimes I get caught up in a shower where it's just hours and hours and hours, endless hours, and I was just praying about, what is the next facet of, ministry? Where do we go from here, and skate ministry and all of that? And the Lord just kind of put it on my heart, that I'm an unlikely servant, and I'm just, wondering, what does that mean? Why am I an unlikely servant? Stuff like that. I mean, if you look at my past, when I was 18, I had twin daughters directly out of high school.
Yo.
And that was a crazy experience with a relationship that was just crazy. Broke me down in a lot of different ways, and I was also, just extremely introverted growing up, and so you kind of formulate all those different things, put them together, and for what I'm doing now, where I'm, first of all, how did I make it out of that relationship? And having twins at 18, I know a lot of people that have kids at an early age, and it seems to be like a breaking point in their faith, and definitely in their path in life. And
right.
So how did I make it out of all that as a skater, and then to now go out and boldly talk about my faith
right
at a skate park,
right on,
and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm an unlikely candidate, but I feel like God uses people that feel like they're unlikely to do ministry or whatever,
right on,
and turns them into servants. So.
Right on. Sometimes we let our past keep us from doing things that God's planned for us in our future, and it's fear, right? Like today we were at the skate park, and I was riding my skateboard, and I really wanted to go down this bank, and I just could not get over the fear factor, but today coming out here and riding this airboat, I conquered a fear.
Yeah, but there were a lot of unknowns going into it.
There were a lot of unknowns going into it. The reality is, God has cool stuff planned for you and for I. And God made you in such a way that only you could be that unlikely servant. I mean, we're all unlikely servants, but only you could do what you do. God created you uniquely to do the ministry and to do the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you ended up getting in skate ministry altogether. I mean, like, you're coming out of high school, you got twin daughters.
Yep.
And then now we're what? Is this 11 years later?
Yeah. So I'm 29 now. It was almost 6 years ago, just kind of at a point where I felt like I didn't have a whole lot of purpose or a plan moving forward. And I grew up in a Christian home, like I knew the truth. Growing up in that home, my parents are just, awesome, godly people, but I never let it affect me, affect my life and the way that I do things and my faith or anything like that. Like I knew the truth, but I kind of put God in a box and just kind of set him aside. And if I was in a place where I was in need, I'd pull God out of that box. Please, God, help me, and then I'd put it back.
And Jesus slot machine.
Right.
Yeah,
kind of treating him kind of like a genie type of thing. But
Yeah.
6 years ago, I finally came to a point where I was like, I feel like I don't have a whole lot of purpose, a plan for my life moving forward. And that is at that point that I, finally said yes to Jesus and yes to actually letting him affect my heart and my mind and my faith and all of that. And he just radically changed, my whole perspective on life. And so through all of that gave me the desire to do skate ministry, kind of like I said yes to Jesus, and he inspired me to use what I was already doing. So I've been a skater for almost 18 years. I was still going to go to the skate parks and do all of that, but to use what I was already doing as a tool to reach out to kids in my community and beyond. And so through all of that, he kind of broke my shell, the introverted part of me, to where I can now, speak in front of crowds of hundreds if I need to, and, just share my faith boldly wherever I go. And it's all because, he's so radically transformed my life and my path. And, the past 6 years have just been insane opportunities, and things just keep coming up. And I think it's just, being willing to let God affect you, let the gospel affect you, let the message of Jesus affect you in a way where it leads you and guides you. And if you follow that leading, it's definitely going to lead you into a life of purpose and experiencing what God actually has planned for you.
And it's super rad. Sometimes we come to Jesus saying, well, I don't have any tools, I don't have anything, but the reality is you've got skateboarding. And God used skateboarding, something as odd. And people might look at this, right? Like if you're a pastor, you're a youth pastor, and you do your ministry in the church, and that's an important thing, right? You and I were talking about this earlier, that a lot of times these skateboarders are probably not going to find themselves in a pew in a church, right? They're not going to find themselves at your youth group or at a church service on a Sunday morning. And the church isn't the place, the church is the people. We're the church. And so guys like Kyle and myself and other ministries and dudes that you guys have met, we take the church to the skate park. We take the church to the skaters. Jesus didn't go hang out at the temple. He did go to the temple a couple of times, but if we read his account and we see what he did, he spent most of his time out with people. Right?
And then commanded us to go as well. So skateboarding seems like a foolish thing. Like if you look at a skateboard, it's just a piece of plywood with wheels on it, and it seems foolish to a lot of people in the world, but it's a power, it's just, if you use it as a tool, it's a powerful thing.
Absolutely, and that's the whole purpose of Wisdom Skateboards. I mean, if you guys have read our website, and Kyle knows this too, it's the skateboard is just a tool. That's all it is. It's just a piece of wood that you nail some wheels to it, and you roll that joker around, you do cool stuff with it. But for us, it's just a tool, and you do have fun with it. So I want you guys to look up Kyle online. So check out truthskatechurch.com. I'm also wearing one of Kyle's hats here. Kyle has a brand called Truth Threads.
Find us on Instagram.
Yeah, he's on Instagram, and you can find Kyle on Instagram at truthskatedude88.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so some of you guys might follow him. If you don't, Kyle's a rad skater, but he's even more of a rad dude. He's a good guy to hang out with. I have to say, you are probably one of the most even-keeled guys I've ever met. Kyle doesn't show a whole lot of emotion or even excitement. He's just kind of like, yeah. But he's a cool guy to hang out with, and he's going to be here for a couple of days. And so he's actually leaving on Saturday morning, and he's flying to Africa with Tim Fake. He's another ministry friend, and he owned Barrakel Skatepark over in Winter Garden. It's Fort Barrakel now. But Tim has put together a team to go over and introduce action sports, both skateboarding, and his son Colt Fake is going to be BMXing, and I think he does like professional pogo sticking too, right?
Yeah, crazy.
Which is wild. But they're going to be over there introducing these kids at a Christian school, I believe, right? They're going to be introducing these kids to action sports, which is pretty rad. Most of these kids have probably never even seen a skateboard.
Right.
So
or
they're going to
anybody
be
doing it or anything like that.
So they're going to be doing demos, and they're taking a whole bunch of gear and taking ramps, helmets, and all kinds of cool stuff to leave with these kids. So not only are they going and demonstrating it, but they're leaving a legacy. They're leaving something for these kids to remember them, and to remember not necessarily the skateboarding, but to remember the message.
Yeah.
To remember that, you know, a guy like Kyle loves Jesus, and Jesus puts it on his heart to come all the way across the world, to go to Africa, to go share the love of God with these kids who've never seen skateboarding. I don't know if he'll be able to share online while you're there.
I won't.
It's probably unlikely, but please be in prayer for Kyle. It's a really gnarly situation over there. Matter of fact, I think you just said they just came out of civil unrest, or
There's a lot of
civil war or
civil
something.
unrest in the area.
So yeah, pray for him, man, and pray for his family, that his family has peace while he's over there. Kyle, thank you so much for coming early and spending a couple of days with me here in Florida. I've really enjoyed it, man. And,
Yeah.
And I look forward to hearing the stories and the testimony of what comes out of this trip for you.
I'm excited.
All right, man. God bless you. I love you, buddy.
Love you too, bud.
I love you too, guys. Take care. God bless.